Hello, I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man, and with Tom Baylis. Tom is a solicitor at JMW's Commercial Litigation Department. He's based in Manchester and specialises in property litigation. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Dom. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. So, Tom, we're going to talk a little bit about leaseholds today. And this is something I have some knowledge about because I used to work for an MP, and I know that many leaseholders have fought a passionate campaign about ground rents. So, I mean, just to start us off, would you sort of explain the difference perhaps between a freehold and a leasehold?
Yeah, a lot of people may not actually know the way in which they hold their property and the differences between freehold and leasehold property. Freehold is where you are the legal owner of the actual building and the land on which that building sits in perpetuity, whereas leasehold, on the other hand, as the name suggests, you'd be granted a lease to occupy the property for a long term. Usually about 125 years, but they can go up to 999 years. And
individuals and families living in leasehold properties have been upset that they deemed that the ground rents were too high. But there seems to be, I don't know if a victory for leaseholders or certainly some light at the end of the tunnel for them.
Yeah, there's been, I'd certainly say light at the end of the tunnel is a good way of putting it, really. The Competition Markets Authority commenced proceedings back in mid-2020 against a number of large developers in the UK, Barratt, Countryside, Persimmon, Taylor Wimpey, with the CMA alleging that these developers had breached a number of consumer protection laws with regards to long-term leasehold interests. Now, they were alleging that they've been mis-selling leasehold properties, that they've been including unfair contract terms within long-term leases, and including ground rents where they would actually double periodically, so every 10, 15, 25 years, as well as misleading consumers as to how much it would cost them to purchase the freehold of their property should they elect to do so at a later stage. Now, while there hasn't been a determination on those proceedings, my understanding is that a number of these developers have settled with the CMA, and the outcome of that settlement will very much be welcome news to leaseholders up and down the country. Now, depending upon the developer in question, some of the settlements that have included the agreement to remove clauses where that ground rent does double after a certain period of time, refunds for leaseholders where they've paid that double ground rent for a period. And the ability for leaseholders to purchase the freehold at the amount that they may have been advised on at the outset of purchasing the leasehold. So the agreed sum or the sum that was quoted by the developer at the very outset. So it's ultimately going to mean, hopefully, much fairer terms for leaseholders moving forward.
Are you able to help leaseholders to advise them of how they can proceed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm expecting, certainly after seeing these press articles and articles online, lots of leaseholders to be going up into the attic and dusting off and retrieving their leases, which they may not have even considered or looked at since buying their property. But we can certainly look at those leases for the leaseholders and see whether or not it's a lease that would fall within the ambit of this settlement that the CMA have reached. And myself and the property litigation team at JMW have experience of dealing with these large developers on behalf of leaseholders, whether it would be extending the leasehold term, whether it would be purchasing the freehold, or whether it would be entering into a deed of variation to vary the terms of the lease, which, as a result of this settlement with the CMA, it would appear that these larger developers may very well be more inclined to do so in the future. So we certainly can help, and hopefully this settlement that has been reached will be most welcome news for leaseholders.
Thank you very much for your expertise, Tom. And I know that leaseholders have been very passionate about this, as of the members of Parliament who represent them as well. If you'd like to speak to Tom, you can contact him insideman@jmw.co.uk or call me on 0161 82 81 999. I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man.